the whole ride is what's the fun part about this. When you book, it's fun, but also like doing the auditions, getting close. These are all going to be memories at some point in our life. It's got to enjoy the process to not get in your head too much.
We have that and so much more coming your way. Get ready for a very powerful episode as we dive into Corey Lawson joining Privileged Talent Agency with pretty much no experience. Also, how to improve all the relationships in your life, and how, when it comes to you doing the things you want to do, you really got to get uncomfortable. Welcome to Get Scene Unscripted. I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski. We are going to dive into acting insights, meet industry pros, and master the business. Don't forget to subscribe and share. We're keeping you behind the scenes and ahead of the game. Welcome back, everyone. This is Get Scene Unscripted. I'm so glad that you're here. Get ready for a powerful episode as we're bringing in another incredible industry pro, incredible agent here in the Southeast market. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out to those of you that are leaving comments and reviews. Thank you so much. It does mean so much to us, the entire team, that you are watching and getting a lot out of what we are producing for you. So I want to give a quick shout out to Frustrated Fairwind. Says, I've been acting for 23 years and I've been in the Atlanta market for 13. I highly recommend this podcast no matter what level you're at in your career. There's so much to learn and it does such a deep dive on the individuals being interviewed. I even learned so much about my own agent. Episodes are deep and pointed and insightful, and you are about to learn so much from one of the agents at Privileged Talent. We got Mr. Corey Lawson. What's up, man?
What's up?
How you feeling? You ready to do this?
I'm ready, man. I've been watching your podcast since you guys started, and I think it's really good tool for this market, and I'm just excited to be here and help out however I can. And it is a little bit nerve-wracking because I don't normally do stuff like this, but
right.
I know you, and I know that everyone that has been on this, as I've watched them, I've just gotten so much out of it, and I know that hopefully someone will get something out of this.
100%, man. And yeah, I told you this before we got started, but I just have to thank you because you definitely were one of the people that reached out, and I could tell that you were like watching the episodes and you were getting a lot out of it, and I don't know, maybe impressed by it, but I really appreciated it. So thanks for tuning in, bro, and I'm glad that you're here.
Glad to be here.
So I want to jump in. If anyone that is unfamiliar with Privilege, your brother Jacob didn't start the agency, but he took it over and now owns it. And then you kind of got I don't know if got roped into to the agency is the right term, but
yeah.
How did that end up happening? Because you didn't have any like agent kind of experience or anything like that, kind of similar to Jacob. So how did you find your way into Privilege too?
So yeah, at the time when he took over, he was living with me and I was working at AT&T. I'd been there for a couple years, I think like 4 or 5 years. And I would see what he was doing. I remember he would be working on the couch and I'd be like walking, either going or coming from work. And I'd always be interested, like, oh, who's that? I would see him doing submissions and be like, did you book anything today? And he was always like, yeah, their bookings were happening. I thought that was so cool. I was like, what did y'all book on? It would be like the new Tom Cruise movie or something, and I was like, man, that's just so cool. And, I was inspired a little bit by that because I know he took a risk doing that. Originally, I thought he was going to become a chiropractor or some physician because I think that was sort of his plan. And then when this opportunity happened, he took it and he was very excited. So I was excited for him. And just seeing it grow from like the early stages and stuff was really cool. And yeah, I was working at AT&T and I decided to quit one day because I knew I wasn't supposed to be there.
Right.
It was serving a purpose in my life. And I learned a lot about myself through working there, but I knew that there was going to be a time where I had to leave, and I felt that kind of coming on strong. I was like year 5, I think. And so I just told my boss, I said, look, man, and they could kind of tell that, I didn't really want to quit because it was scary. Like, not having income and that sort of thing is a little bit scary, but I was like, I can't just wait for that other door to open before I take this leap of faith. I just need to quit and see what happens, figure out what I want to do. And then so I did. And then I think a couple weeks later, I enrolled at Georgia State to study film just because I was interested in even working at AT&T, we would have actors from The Walking Dead come in and, whatever show was shooting here at the time, MacGyver. And I was just like, man, that's really cool, and it's kind of at its early phases. It's like, it would be exciting to get involved with this somehow, And so I just went to Georgia State to study film and video just to kind of like get an education on it. I've always loved movies and, loved watching shows and stuff. So I've always been a fan of it, but I wanted to kind of just study it to see if it is something that I would really enjoy doing, And then so I think it was after like 1 year, or it might have even been 2 semesters. Jake offered me the position to come work as the agent or junior agent at Privilege. And I was like, yeah, man, I need a job. I think at the time I was going to Goodwill's, buying shirts and clothes or reselling them on eBay just to make a little extra money. I had some money saved from AT&T and I had planned to take some time off, but I was burning through my funds pretty quickly after about a year. And so I was like, yeah, I would love to do that. And ever since then, we've just been going and growing.
Wow. So I didn't know that part of the story of you being inspired by Jake, but not immediately joining the agency. Like, you're like, I'm inspired by you getting into the film and TV industry. Like, I'll go find my own path.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of then came together after you kind of took some action on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if that was directly, if he did that because, or, I think it was just the timing was right. He needed someone. It's a 2-person job at minimum. And I think he knows that my work ethic and I'm very competitive. So this is kind of a sales job in a way, So I think I was a good option, but at the same time, it's like I had no clue what I was going to be doing, but I was very eager to learn. And I've always been that way. I'm from the school of thought, like you have to go do it to learn how to do it.
If you're an actor, you're going to want to hear this. We have our 3-day in-person conference coming up. And if you want to see Atlanta for what it really is, the heart and soul of the Southeast actor market, then you're not going to want to miss this incredible opportunity to be in person and really build your actor community. Just imagine being able to hear exactly what you need to hear to be motivated and inspired and really build that action game plan, if you will, to build the acting career that you really want. And most importantly, if you put the work in, deserve. But I want you to imagine being able to really feel being around an incredible community, the top industry pros, so you feel like this is what you're truly meant to be doing. And so everyone, this is all going to be happening at our 3-day in-person conference. I'm not going to take too much time from the podcast, so you can head to the comments in the description right now to get more information. And I even left a discount for you. So go check that out now, and I hope to see you at the conference in June. Yep.
You go to a classroom and read the books and stuff. When you get there on that first day, you're going to be clueless, and any other job I've ever had, when you sit down in the interview, they'll say, okay, well, what kind of experience do you have, And so I just wanted to get involved and get to work to figure out, how does this all work? I never really had doubt that I would be able to do it, but I did want to get up to speed as quick as possible because, like I said, it is sales. You're selling your people, and you get what you put into it.
Yeah.
So,
I agree so much in the mindset of the best way you're going to learn is to do. I think there's different personalities, obviously, right? Where there's certain people that are like, I'm going to feel better if I can do all the classes and all the trainings so I can feel as prepared as possible. But yeah, there's just nothing like diving in and just doing it. I mean, that's where you're going to learn the fastest.
Yes.
And I think for actors, since I'm sure we have a lot of those listeners, I would just say it all, with everything that you're trying to do, it's like, it's action. You know, I feel like I hear so often, it's like, I'll go after an agent when I have a demo reel, or when I have this, or when I have that. And like all that, I'll do it when is the formula to be stuck. And, you know, it's like the same thing. If you would have been like, well, Jake, let me go ahead and like learn what I can, and let me read some books on being an agent, and I'll join you when, right? Who knows when you would have, quote unquote, felt comfortable enough to dive in. Like, you wouldn't have probably.
Right. And I think the fact that he was already doing it, he had already dove in, it gave me confidence that I know I could, because, you know, we've shared a room for 18 years. We used to play every sport together, video games, you know, and we would challenge each other. And it's like, if I can do it, you can do it, you know? And that's kind of how I saw it. I was like, well, he's already doing it, you know? If I have questions, I could probably ask him. It's not gonna be a problem, you know? So I think seeing him already doing it gave me the faith and assurance I knew I could too.
Yeah. You know? How is the relationship with you guys? I feel I don't have any siblings, so I can't relate or unrelate with it, I guess. But like, I feel like you're either like, I feel like most of the time I hear that like siblings are kind of like rivals, or they get on each other's nerves. It doesn't seem like it's that way for you guys at all.
Well, we're on the same team, you know, so we're both competitive, but we try to see ourselves as a team. So I think we never really had a lot of conflicts when we're working, because we both just try to do the best work we can, and kind of take our personalities or that sort of side of us out and just focus on work. So, I mean, in the early phases, it was probably me having to learn a lot, you know, but we work really well together because we kind of have the same, like the bar is set at the same level for each of us. We don't, you know, I'm not going to slack. He's not going to slack. And if one of us were, we would tell the other one, you know?
Yeah.
And, we're pretty good at communicating with each other. We try not to get too like, you know, emotional, or just say it and then, okay, cool, let's go.
Right.
You know, so if we do have disagreements, they're very quick and we resolve them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How can you be at that point? Like, how can you be, I don't know if it's unemotional is the correct word, but how do you do that? Because I think like what you just said sounds great, and you're like, that's what I want, but easier said than done.
Take a step back. You know, anytime you feel the urge to get emotional or get defensive, take a step back, consider what the person's saying, you know, and they're probably right, or at least right to an extent. And then just think what is best for the business. You know, even if I feel like I'm not doing this thing, whatever it is that maybe I shouldn't be doing or I'm doing wrong, you know, if he comes to me and says, hey, Corey, you know, we got to get this together. We got to get this together. I'm going to be like, okay, now, you know, maybe in the first couple of years, I would try to explain why I'm doing it and stuff like that. And, you know, I'm sure he probably appreciates that. But at this point, it's just like, I just have to trust him, and he has to trust me that we're both going to do our best. And, you know, if he says, hey, do this, I'm just going to do it and take my emotions out of it. We've never really gotten anywhere better from having an argument. You know, it's like, I'll feel worse after. We'll say stuff that we really don't mean. We're just in an argument, you know. So you have enough of those, you kind of try to avoid them and just keep focus on what the task at hand is, and not let your emotions and, you know, yourself get as involved as you know, as we normally would. Because, like, you know, we are very close and we do talk about a lot of stuff, and we've had disagreements and stuff, but, you know, it's never cost us anything, you know, relationship wise. I think any disagreements we've ever had, we've grown together after, you know, after resolving them.
That's awesome. And I think that's so good. And you talked about like, take a step back in case you get defensive. Another thing I'd like to add on to that is, if you can get to the place where you're like, what is your outcome? Like, what do you want from this? And then also do the same thing for the other person, right? So if you and I all of a sudden had a disagreement, if I stop and say like, what's Corey's outcome in this, right? It's probably not to make me feel bad, right? And it's not to make me upset or anything like that. And if I can get a better handle on what I think you want, I think that also changes things. And then I can react differently,
Yeah.
even if it's, if we take other relationships and you're like, I think this person just wants to be right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then now you're like, just make them right. And
Exactly.
then just make them right.
And then they'll be
you're done.
happy.
Yep. And then it's
Yeah.
over.
And you don't really gain anything from trying to prove someone wrong in a working relationship. And,
No.
And especially when you're both repping the same actors, it's just, there's no advantage to butting heads. It's going to slow down your workflow, because when you're doing that, you're not able to do the other stuff that you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So I think we've always been that way as we try to resolve things, get through our junk as quick as we can so that we can get back to work,
That's
But
awesome.
like I said, it doesn't really happen anymore.
You're older, right?
Yeah. 1 year and 10 days.
Is there ever do you guys ever feel like, oh God, Jake's the younger one and he's...
I don't ever feel that way. And I've never had an older brother, so I don't know what it feels like to have an older brother, but I've never been like, oh, he's my younger brother. He doesn't know, or
Right.
I could just, big bro him into doing whatever. Like, I don't think like that anymore. Maybe when we were younger. Yeah. But that was just like the teenage years and stuff. So I see him as an equal. I don't really see him as my little brother. I just see him as my brother.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what's been one of the most valuable things you've learned from Jacob through coming into privilege? I mean, and you've been with privilege for a while, so I'm sure there's so many things along the way. But
I would say the one thing that stands out to me is like his communication process with casting, and just how to ask for things in a way that is going to give you the best chance of getting them. And again, it's taking that emotional step back, not if you get an offer that we know is not a good offer, to be able to go back and ask for more in the right way, and to not let there be any sort of scent of, this is a job, the casting director is trying to get the best deal they can, and we're going to try to get the best deal for our client. So, just what I've learned from him is just basically how to communicate effectively and to take out the emotional aspect of it. And just because that's where it gets cluttered up. And, these relationships with casting are very important. And we don't ever want to be the people who cost a client a job because we were butting heads with casting, let them do that. If they don't like the counter offer and they want to say whatever, let them. But, don't ever get offended by any of it. It's just business. And I think growing up in a competitive world, and I've worked since I was 14. I've always been I want to be right. I want to do it right, and I have probably been a little emotional at times when, things didn't go the way I expected or whatever. But it's never helped me to get more emotional or feed into that thought or that feeling. Once I get over that and address the issue at hand, I feel better. So yeah, I just learned to kind of take the emotional. It's not going to help you to bring your emotions into business, really.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I mean, you're talking about the communication with casting, and we've been kind of talking a little bit about the relationship you have with your brother. Let's move the relationship, because I mean, it really does feel like you guys are good at communication and relationships, and where there could be a lot of arguments and a lot of trials and tribulations, if you will. That's not even a thing almost. How does that correlate with the relationships that you guys build with your talent and your roster? Do you guys have some really big kind of lines in the sand on specific boundaries, or I feel like you guys have good relationships with your people. How do you guys build that and go about that?
We try to be available. If someone asks, hey, could we, I just want to get up and talk, we try to say yes to as many of those as we can and be there for our clients. If they just want someone to talk to, we're in a perfect working relationship. We're sending them, auditions, they're booking them, but we all know that that's not happening every time, So I think to maintain a good relationship with your actors is to be be aware, give them time, don't feel, if someone doesn't book for a whole year, it's not the end of the world. If they're putting in good auditions, they're training, they're getting coaching and that sort of thing, we're going to be happy. I'm going to be, from our end, it's going to be a good relationship because I'm still trying to pitch and get you work and you're working on your craft. So as long as we're both doing our job and upholding, doing both of our duties, it's going to be a good working relationship. And, there are a lot of different personality types in this industry. And I think that's important too. You need to find an agent actor relationship where the personalities match. And, we not saying that we perfect personality match with all our clients, but as long as it's not, you want it to be a good enough match to where you can still get the work done. In the past, there have been times where it's like, okay, is this person even enjoying being on set, making this money? They're complaining about every little thing, do they really even enjoy this? It's like, if we know you're enjoying it, then we're going to have a good working relationship because we enjoy it. And we think that, it could be hard at times, but this job it is a privilege to work in this industry. Like it's just, so many people want to do this. Yeah. And the fact that we get to is incredible. And it's, I've never been on set and I've never had to deal with things and I know it's a lot. You're having to memorize your lines, focus on your character, but it's just important to enjoy the process because it's the whole ride is what's the fun part about this. When you book, it's fun, but also like doing the auditions, getting close, these are all going to be memories at some point in our life. It's got to enjoy the process to not get in your head too much,
Dude, that's such a good point. I mean, there's two really important things that I want to like circle back on. One, so many actors, I think, get worried about not booking and will I get dropped and all that stuff. And I love how simply you put it. Like, if you're working and doing your job, which is training, doing good auditions, continuing to improve, and I'm doing my job and trying to get you auditions and pitching you, that's the relationship. Do your job, I'll do my job. Eventually, we'll meet in the middle with a success story and a booking. Love that, and it's put so simply, and everyone needs to know it. And the second thing is, dude, the enjoying the journey. I mean, I feel like I tell people this all the time. I way more often talk about, I don't necessarily want to say like the failures, but like the struggle journey to get to the success. I'm never talking about the booking usually. I'm like, oh, I had to do this and that, and oh, that one I didn't get, or I finally booked a big commercial, but it was 12 first refusals that I didn't get before I finally got the $70,000 one. Like, always talk about the journey. And so how do you think we can enjoy the journey more if we're struggling with it at the current moment?
We only get, this is one life that we have. As far as we know, we only get one shot at this, right? So like I said earlier, this is all going to be a memory one day. So try to enjoy the moments because one day you're going to look back and say, man, those were the best years of my life, And right now you need to know that like this is the time to be alive and enjoy the moment and just, we're all on the same ride. We don't know where it's going to go. We can either complain or we can put our hands up in the air and, let go and have fun. So much of this is out of our control that it's not pointless to worry and like stress over little things. There is a little bit of value to that, but this is an industry where you have to put in the work and let it go and then move on. And you have to enjoy that process, and that's why a lot of times we'll tell people is you should be enjoying the audition process because that is your job. Once you get on set, that's when you have to do the work, but your job is to audition. And if, you might get a lot of avail checks, you might audition a bunch and not book, but if you're enjoying that, you're going to get better,
Yeah, you talked about having, stress and some of that comes in, and that's probably like the reasoning in why the journey sometimes isn't fun for people. And I just like want to bring up that we so often think about reasons that it doesn't work out and that things aren't good, like 100 times more than the other side of that, which is, oh, this is going to work out and this is going to be great. It's always limiting beliefs. Not always, but most of the time, I think for a lot of people, it's limiting beliefs of I'm not good enough, or why did I get this, or so-and-so will be better. And all of these thoughts that make you not worthy. We're never bombarding ourselves the other way around on how this will work and everything is falling into alignment and I'm about to go on a crazy run and my finances are about to come together. Like, we're never thinking that. And I think just like bringing some awareness to that, like when you begin to get stressed, it's normally because you're allowing your mind to bombard you with the negative thoughts that have not come to fruition yet.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's just thoughts that you've had. Like, switch it. Give yourself the chance to be bombarded with positivity and think of it like that instead. And I think that would help so much with stress.
Yeah. And, do the work. If you're ever stressed, for me, like if I'm stressed out, a lot of times I'll just go to the gym, go for a walk. I'll go work on something that will make me better, even if it's 0.001%. A lot of the stress comes from not being enough or not doing enough or not getting what we
So good.
expect.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of that we have no control over, but we do have control over when you take action on that. That is when a lot of times you forget about those stressful thoughts you were having. And we all have moments, but I try to get out of those moments as quick as I can, just because you're right. It's infectious. And it would be, I'm also of the same mind of thought to where if you believe it, you can do it. You can do anything you believe you can do. It's going to be hard, but everything starts in your mind, So, like, we should be gassing ourselves up and saying, like, my finances are going to be good this year. I'm going to book this year, Maybe don't have a number goal, but if you do, cool. But be speaking it into existence. And, like I said, do the work too. That'll keep you out of your head anytime you're getting stressed or feeling like you could be doing more. You probably could, everybody could be doing more, but there's balance. And, a lot of those negative thoughts are just us being our own worst enemy. And my way of getting out of that is just getting out of the house. Like I said, going for a walk, going to the gym, that sort of thing.
I loved what you just said about I'm just going to do something that's going to improve me, even if it's 0.00001% of like, yeah, I just went a walk around the block, but kind of got my heart rate up just a little bit, got my legs working a little bit. I got more steps, like, well, whatever it might be, it's a little bit of an improvement. And bro, you are so right that like just changes your psyche. Like, but how do you get to the point? Cause I feel like, at least I felt like this, that, when you're in that funk, if I'll sometimes call it a funk, where you just kind of feel like a little bit stuck, right? How do you get that first step into the walk? Like, how do you get the first movement? Because I'm like in the funk, I'm like almost in the quicksand, and I'm like, I don't want to do anything today, right?
Yeah.
So like, but you got to get outside to crush that. How do you get that first step?
Do what you know you need to go do and take action. Even if it is just one step towards the door to leave, just start the process of doing what you know you need to do. And a lot of times, like I've been in that situation where I am in a funk and I'll wait an hour or two to go do the thing that I know I need to do. And I'm just staying in the funk for whatever reason. And I think the more I become aware of that, the more I try to quickly get out of it, because a lot of times, like those thoughts, they'll start small and then they'll grow. And then, before you know it, you've been in that funk for 2 or 3 hours, And so as soon as I detect it, I just try to go do something that, like I said, is going to improve myself, even if it's just 0.00001%.
Yeah, no, that's so smart, man, and so needed for just, yeah, when you're in that place, it always comes down to action.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
So far in this journey of you being an agent, what's been, I guess, one of the most rewarding times or memories that you have?
There's a lot. And every win is a win for us. Like, even the small wins, because all of those build up to the big win. You know, for each actor, everybody has a journey. You know, but I would say one of the biggest wins would probably be booking first series regular we booked. You know, that was a thing we struggled with for a couple years at the beginning, you know, trying to get that series regular. And now that we have that, you know, it's leads in films. Tony shooting in Morocco, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, shout out to Tony.
Yeah, shout out to Tony DeMille.
Shout out to
Talked
Tony.
to him yesterday, and we were just talking about how when you travel internationally, you come back, your perception on everything changes. Like you're a different person a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you've experienced life in a different way. So like anytime someone gets to go overseas to shoot for an extended period of time, I love that. That's my favorite thing. To get someone on set for, you know, 30 days or more in a location that is going to change them, challenge them, and, you know.
That's awesome. You guys have had that multiple times.
Yeah.
I mean, and you guys, when did you and Jake went out, was it Poland?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had an actor in Poland and
Yep.
you guys were out there?
Yeah, there was a show called The Liberator that was shooting out there, and Jake went out there for a little while, and he's got some good stories about that trip. But yeah, that's like, you know, one of the funnest parts of this job is being able to travel and celebrate those wins with your client, go into film festivals, going on set, you know, that sort of thing. We don't get to do it all the time, but when we can, those are some of my favorite memories.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you and Jake have like done a fair amount of traveling. You talk about the client being able to travel, but you guys travel a good amount, right? What's been one of your like favorite trips? What's a vacation we all need to like put on our calendar?
Switzerland.
I was gonna say it was Switzerland.
I
isn't
have
it?
to go with Switzerland.
And I haven't been to Switzerland yet.
Yeah.
I gotta get there.
I would say if you go to Switzerland, look at Interlaken. It's like one of the most prettiest places I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah. But coming back from Sweden, me and Jake took our dad to Sweden. He had never been. I don't know if he's ever been to that part of the world at all.
Wow.
And so it was really, really rewarding to spend time with him. And maybe that's why I value that trip a little bit more, because, you know, it was just a boys' trip, and we've never done that. It's always been the whole family.
Cool.
So,
Yeah.
but the scenery there, the way that the people treat each other there, how clean it is, and just their way of traveling through these mountains. It's like you would think it would be impossible to get to the top of that mountain, but they've got these trains and trolleys that just go all around. There's like no traffic. There were no cars in like almost any of the villages we stayed in. It was just bikes, trains, and trolleys. Like,
Wow.
but yeah, and it was so clean. And like I said, the way that people treat each other, it's just, you come back and it's not like you come back to Atlanta and you're like, oh man, you know, but it is eye-opening in a sense of like, this is how people treat each other in this part of the world. Why can't we do that here? You know,
Sure.
what's the big difference, you know? So yeah, Switzerland is definitely, put it on your calendar. Like, I'm going to go back for sure.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Is that's like the next vacation, or
No,
you're
no,
like,
no, no, no.
I just know I'll go back?
Yeah, I'll probably go back when I have years down the line.
Okay.
When I
yeah,
have
yeah.
like a family or something to take.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Get Scene Studios was founded in helping connect actors with industry pros. We bring in the top Southeast agents and casting directors to really help you get seen by the people that matter. And we really focus this on two different ways, everyone. In one of our signature in-person classes or workshops called the Get Seen 360, you get to have a self-tape evaluated, then you get to work on the callback, and then you also work on a cold read. You spend 5 hours with an industry pro in the Get Seen 360. And then for our online class, and this signature workshop we have is called the Perfect Submission. And this mimics the Actors Access submission process, where you send in a headshot, a self-tape, and a demo reel or clip. And so this is an incredible way to really get feedback on what that submission is looking like. And so everyone, as a thank you for listening, every single month we're going to choose one winner, and you get to choose one of these classes. Any class that you want will be absolutely free, and this will be our way of saying thank you so much. So all you got to do is head to the pinned comment below, put in your name and email, and you will be entered to win. All you got to do is put in your email one time and you will live there forever, which means if you submit this month, you could win 3 months from now, 4 months from now. So go ahead and head to that pinned comment now, and good luck. Yeah, I agree with you when you said when you internationally travel, it changes you. I agree. I mean, it's interesting because it's like the world can be like so small sometimes, and you're like, wow, oh, small world. I ran into you there, and whatever, and then like you also travel, and you're like, we're a speck in the grand picture of all this. There's just so many people at any given moment. It can be like so overwhelming.
Yeah. And, America is a great place. I love it here, but there's so many different ways of living just in different countries. It's crazy that like when I was in Switzerland, it felt like I was on another planet because it was just so different than the way of life that I've experienced my entire life. So yeah, I think everyone should travel internationally. Just it helps you figure out more about yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
You learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah, and it also what kind of bringing this all together actually with feeling stress and sometimes feeling stuck and thinking about this traveling. It reminds me of when you pay attention to your perspective, right? And so normally our perspective is always based on I, right? How do I feel? What am I doing? But if you can slowly and gradually get better at stepping outside of that, you begin to see like, if I can step outside of myself, I can see that like I'm painting a picture that doesn't actually exist, right? And that's why I'm stressed. You go even further to the global perspective, and I think you're able to see this so much better when you do internationally travel. You're like, the problem that you are looking at or creating is like nothing compared to like the whole world and like your whole life. If you like look at everything that's happening in your life is like one small problem this week, when you look at years within your life, it's just like not that big of a deal. And like, we probably don't need to stress that much.
Yeah. Stressing is, although it's necessary at times, it is unhealthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like causes your body to produce cortisol, which is like the number one all-cause mortality. Like stress is one of the main killers in America and globally. So although stress is good, you need a little bit of stress is good, but you can't. Some people live stressed out constantly, and that's how they function. And I don't think anyone has to live that way.
No. How often do you see your actors going about this career in a much more stressful state?
I think different people handle it differently. But I feel like you guys deal with a lot more of the stressful sides of this business. Once we do the deal, we're pretty much out of it. You guys go to set and you deal with the AD, you deal with the line producer, the director. You're dealing with all these moving parts, and it's like, okay, if you're a little stressed, you call and talk about it. A lot of times people just need to get it out, whatever they're stressed about, just get it out and move on. And, I think that the actors who know how to do that effectively and not let it linger around do well, in a lot of situations.
Yeah. What do you think? I always find this kind of like interesting. Do you think, and the interesting part that I'm talking about is that, there's all these different classes and training that actors can take to improve, right? And that really has everything to do with just the audition process, but then the like on set process is completely different. You talk about the AD, the line producer, all that stuff. How do you think actors can deal with that better? Is it like get on more short films and more like student film sets? Or is it like just be open and learn as much as you can when you're on set? Or Get Scene needs to create a new course or
that wouldn't hurt. But all of those things, the experience, you don't know what you don't know. And I think a lot of times people will stress out over that. Like, oh, I don't, I know my lines, but I don't know what time I'm supposed to go over here and do. So I think just like, taking control of what you can control, and then just enjoying the process, getting on set as much as you can. Like, even if it is doing short films, just to get comfortable on set, and it's not going to be the same every time you go to set. A lot of times it's going to be different. But to get as much reps in as you can to see those differences will definitely help. But that would be a good class idea too, to do like an on-set experience class. Because I think that's a whole nother level of the business, that it's like you have to book to get there first. But once you're there, it's like, you're right, there just isn't a lot of training on how to be on set. And I think, just be professional, polite to people, be someone that they want to work with again. Try not to be the person who's complaining about every little thing.
Totally. Yeah.
And then that's it,
Yeah. I mean, actually bringing it back to Mr. Tony DeMille, I remember I'm sure he still does this still, but I remember years ago when he had booked a bunch of like really big things, and he was telling me that he was still submitting on Actors Access, and still like, he's like, yeah, even if it said it would pay like $50 a day, like I would just like tell them, no, you got to pay me $250, and like then let them decide or whatever. And he was, but I think like that's another thing, is like, it doesn't, if you feel like you've gotten to a level where you're like, well, I've already booked some things, so I don't want to be doing the indie things. Like, you take someone like Tony with 100+ credits, I think still doing it, and I think it's about that experience, continuing to get that experience, and that's going to prep him better for the next Chicago PD or whatever his next booking, I think he's already booked that. But whatever his next big booking is like, he will be more prepared because he got more of those reps in.
Yeah,
you're talking
it's
about.
like it's a workout. It's a muscle that you have to work. And the more you get on set, the better you're going to be at being on set. And and a lot of that is just managing your internal thoughts. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people do think like, not like Tony, where they want to just keep things moving in an upward, trajectory, which that's of course the long-term goal. But there's nothing wrong with racking up 100 credits along the way.
Yeah.
You're just going to get experience and money.
Right.
If you look at like Samuel Jackson or some of these people who have 300, 400 credits.
Dude, insane how many credits.
It's like, for a fact, not all of those were good projects.
No.
And that's okay. You're learning something from it. And you never know, that might be someone's favorite movie, your least favorite project you've worked on, You just have to think of things, I think, in a little bit less selfish way. Kind of be your own coach, put yourself through the workouts, and just see yourself grow. And, like I said, over time, those bookings add up, and your resume gets bigger, your experience grows, and people want to hire you more. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, I mean, you said most people want to have their career on like this upward trajectory, and I'm kind of like, well, when has a booking ever been like a downward spiral?
Exactly. A booking, getting on set is a win. And a lot of times if you're on set, you do a good job, you make a good impression, those people are probably going to shoot something again soon or work on another job. So you just, to not take a job when you don't have another job lined up, I think could be the wrong decision. And I get like, you don't want to do certain types of roles or certain films. That's totally fine. But if it's just because, this has a little bit less lines than the last role I worked, I would say still do it. If you have the availability, because you never know, you could get to set and they'll throw you a whole extra scene.
Or it turns into recurring, you get some big arc. You just have no idea.
Yeah, and we've had that happen. People take that co-star that then gets a name, then starts recurring, just because they did a good job on set.
Yep. Yeah, you want to say yes.
Yeah.
More often.
Yeah, because we get told no so much. When you get the yes, just run with it.
Yeah, such a good point. So I honestly think like your story and Jake's story too, just kind of privilege in general, I mean, is really inspiring, and it comes down to like like an individual that if we just look at the stats, we're like, this isn't probably going to work out, you know, based on lack of experience or whatever. And you guys have made it work so well and have learned and figured it out. And I think now one of the best agencies here in the Southeast. What advice would you give to somebody that's maybe just starting out or maybe wanting to make a change, but because the change is different and new, like they feel scared? Like, what advice would you have for them?
Well, I can only speak off of what I've done, and you know, maybe this advice wouldn't work for everyone, but you're going to have to take a step of faith that is going to feel scary at first, because a lot of times when you come into this industry, you're not going to make a lot of money right off the bat, but you got to be okay with that. You got to be willing to work as hard as you can, because everyone else is competing for the same stuff. But yeah, I would just say, just go for it. You know, what's the worst that could happen? When I left AT&T, I was like, I had no idea I would end up here, but if I wouldn't have left, I would not be here for sure. So, if you're in that moment and, you know, in your head or in your gut, you feel like you need to make a move, you don't have to do it that day, but pray about it, think about it. And then, you know, when the time is right, just make the decision and you never know when it would be something you look back on and say that was the best decision of my life.
Yeah.
You know? You just have to trust the process and, you know, take a leap of faith.
That's awesome. Well, Mr. Lawson, this brings us to our spotlight sign off. 5 questions to end us strong. Question number 1 is, what is something you're super grateful for today?
I would have to say my condo.
Your condo?
Yeah.
Why is it your condo?
It just feels good to own something.
Yeah.
I feel like I should have done that a long time ago, but you know, can't go back in time.
No. Yeah.
I'm just thankful for that. I would say that's that and my dog. He's 12, so.
Oh man. All right.
He's getting up there, but you know, I've had him since he was 2 months, so. He's like my best friend that I can't really talk to. Well, I can talk to him. He just doesn't talk back, you know.
I mean, he can like grumble and stuff, right? Yeah.
He's
so
telepathic.
like you know what he's saying.
Yeah, he just speaks through his mind.
Yeah. Jake also his grateful. What he was grateful for was his dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know. Dogs add so much value to my life.
I mean, yeah, they're special. They
really are.
I think I do want to bring up too because you brought up the condo thing. You're like, I feel like I should have done this a while ago, but I think it's a great reminder though for people. It's like kind of like better late than never, you know, like because so often you could just get stuck. Well, I should have done this 5 years ago, so what's the point in doing it now? And it's just so easy to like fall into that. Mm-hmm. But yet here you are, like that's one of the things that you're most grateful for, even though maybe it wasn't on the timeline that you maybe wanted or expected, it's still one of the things that you're most grateful for.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, second question is, what is a TV show, movie, event, or book that changed the trajectory of your life?
So I would say there hasn't really been a movie, book, or TV show that changed, because there just hasn't been. But I would say the event that changed my life was the day that I decided to tell my manager at AT&T that I was putting in my 2 weeks. That was definitely the event that changed my life, that allowed me to be in this position now.
Yeah.
So that's definitely the event that I would say changed my life the most.
Was that scary?
Yes.
Like, how did you get the
Because I didn't know I would be here. I didn't know where I would be. And I didn't have another job lined up. But I did know that where I was at right then was not where I was going to be. I knew that I said I wasn't where I was supposed to be, but I probably was supposed to be there during that time. I learned a lot there. But I knew that time was going to come to an end at some point. And it was scary because I didn't know where I was going to go next, but I did know that I had to make that choice first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third question, what is something in your routine, whether it be morning or during the day, that you really cherish?
Definitely my morning routine. I usually go for a walk in the morning. Well, I walk my dog, but I don't take my phone with me. It's when I kind of like reflect and pray and just say what I'm grateful for. Try to wake up and choose to be joyful. And I feel like if I start my days off like that, I have a much better chance at staying in that mindset all day. And I think that every day is a new day, right? And like, we have the opportunity to reset every day. It's a new chance every single day. And I try not to let the residual stuff carry over the next day. And that's why I think the most important part of my day is the mornings, where I just get grounded and just prepare myself for the day, in a positive way.
Yeah. I don't do it all the time, but I do it a good amount of time where, I'll walk. Normally Candy's up before me, so she'll walk Dolly, and then Dolly gets back, and then I'm up, and then I walk Dolly, so
Nice.
Dolly gets a double walk. And starting yourself off with that gratitude and that gratefulness, I mean, really can just be like a game changer.
It really is. Yeah. I mean, it's such a simple thing to do, but it's one of those things you have to do. You have to take action and do it. And, it may seem a little, cheesy at first, or, oh, this isn't going to, change the way I feel. But over time, you make good habits, you make a habit of it, and you really start to dig into who you are. You learn about a lot more about yourself and become more self-aware just by something that simple.
Yeah. Do you say it in your head, or do you say it out loud?
If no one's around, I'll say it out loud.
I'll say it out loud.
If I'm walking around and there's a bunch of people around, I'm not going to be like talking to myself.
Just be crazy, dude.
Yeah. I would blend in right down there where I live. But,
nobody, I don't think anybody
Sometimes I will. It's just depending on, I guess, the way I'm feeling that day.
Yeah.
Like if I really feel like I need to hear it myself, I'll say it. But if it's just a normal day, I'll probably just do it internally.
And think about this. You probably inspire someone. If you're just walking down the road and you're like, I'm grateful I can walk. I'm grateful for my dog. I'm grateful for the sun, right? People might be like, I need to get into my gratitude.
That's it. I mean, it's just saying that convinces yourself to be that way.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, like everything starts in your mind. And though you may not want to do it, if you make yourself do it, your body, your mind, your spirit is going to follow. And we are in control of this. And a lot of times we have to make the hard decisions to do what's right, even though we don't want to do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
It's you have to be aware of your lazy side, or
it wants to take over.
Exactly. Yeah.
It does.
I just say, like, there's two sides. Everybody has like two sides, and you have to, a lot of times, listen to the side that you might not necessarily want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fourth question is, what is something that you're currently trying to improve in your life?
My patience and discipline. Well, mostly my patience.
Really? I feel like you're patient. You're a patient dude.
Yeah. I mean, I've come a long way, I would say.
Okay.
I've always been kind of like snappy and aggressive, I would say. I think that comes from sports, like playing sports year round, and you have to kind of like just work fast, be fast. And like, I just have learned to slow down and, enjoy the process and just be patient with myself, be patient with other people, be patient with the world. And it's something that I've really had to work on, but I'm thankful for, I'm enjoying the process of learning to become more patient.
Do you feel like it's true when you're like, all right, I want to work on patience, that like then, some people, if you pray, some people might say like God then puts all these like incredibly impatient scenarios into your life?
I mean, that could very well be what happens.
Yeah.
But that's a perfect opportunity to learn patience.
Right, exactly.
And it's like any trial and tribulation we go through is going to build character, good or bad. And it's how you go through that trial and tribulation is what's going to determine the type of character it builds in you. I think taking a step back, having patience, and trying not to get too emotional about things that you have no control over helps.
Last question. We've gone over a bunch of stuff today, but if we've missed anything, definitely this is your chance to bring it up. If you wanted all the listeners to get one piece of advice to take away, what would it be?
I would say, don't be scared to take that first step and to just jump into the water. Because like I was saying earlier, you're going to have to gain the experience, and the only way to do that is to take a leap of faith and jump in. And so if you're hesitating because, like you said, you don't think the timing's right or you're not quite prepared, that's okay. But just know that you should take that leap of faith. You never know what is going to come from it. And as a younger man, I knew that to be true. But as I got older, I realized it to actually be true for me. And when I did take that leap of faith to leave, it's like everything else fell into place to where way it was supposed to be, in a way, or at least in a way that I like better. I really enjoy this job, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't take that leap of faith. So if you're struggling with making that decision, just do it.
I love it. Yeah, you have to get yourself uncomfortable to get to the next level.
Yep, absolutely.
Corey Lawson, thank you for being here, man. It was an awesome conversation. I loved connecting with you and getting to know you better today.
Absolutely.
Everyone, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. Make sure to comment, subscribe, review. Let us know what you thought about the episode. And again, hit that subscribe button so you do not miss any upcoming episodes. We look forward to being on your actor journey in a bigger way. Thank you for being here. I'm Jesse Malinowski. We'll see you soon.